Shockwave. This is Enterprise Season 1, the finale of Season 1, Shockwave Part 1. We're going to talk about this using my space system, story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment. Each category gets a score between 0 and 2, 2 being the best you can get. I kind of love this one. Look, it's not exactly perfect Star Trek in the sense of like, I usually like the ones where they're more character and problem focused. This one has problems and it has a little bit of character stuff, but it's mostly like an actiony kind of one, which is fine sometimes. In this case, I think it works. So I'm going to give the storyline a 2 out of 2. The Enterprise is going to meet this colony, and they do some sort of production on this world where these fumes go into the atmosphere, and if you get too close with your plasma drive or whatever it is, it could ignite the entire planet. So they got to be careful. So they're following all the protocols, but something goes wrong and everybody dies. So it's like 3,600, I think they said was the number of people died. And Archer's like, holy crap. And they're like, yeah, you're recalled. You got to come back. It's like something's up. And Malcolm's like, nope, nothing went wrong. It was all good. Trip's like, yeah, everything looked good. Everything looked good, right? So we don't know what's going on. Then you got Lieutenant Daniels from the future who pulls Archer out of time, and he's like, oh, listen, this is like, he pulls him back in time, and he's like, look, this was a mess. This wasn't supposed to happen. This was never recorded. Someone's messing with the history and the timeline. It's the Suluban, of course, so then they've got to find out what's going on. There you go. It ends on a cliffhanger because it's a part 1. So I'm reviewing them separately because that's how they're on the Blu-ray disc, and then it'll just mess up the numbering on the so this part 1 I really liked. Got into it. The action was good. The planning, the strategic stuff of how to get these certain discs that can prove that it'll basically have the records of the ship and what happened. That was all well done. Pacing is 2 out of 2, man. It's like pretty fast paced. It's like right into it. Lots of action. And I mean lots of action for a Star Trek show, right? Not lots of action for what's supposed to be a Star Wars show, which usually the Star Wars shows have no action. But anyways, so it's crazy because you're just like, what's going to happen? You don't really know. I remember watching this when it came out at the time, and you're like, oh, what the heck? This is like insane. Like, this is a bit, this is crazy. Like, what is going to happen here? You don't know. So that was really well done. The artistry, I gave it a 2 out of 2, man. Everything looks good. There's still some, there's still some backgrounds and stuff. They're like, well, that looks a little bit weird, but I'm judging it kind of like how good I thought about it, like at the time. A lot of these shows, even the original Star Trek, if you watch that playlist, I was watching the upgraded versions where they changed around stuff. They added new computer effects and then that kind of a thing. Enterprise it'd be nice to touch that up a little bit, but I guess you don't really need to. So I'm still giving it a 2 out of 2 for artistry. Look, I think the Suluban looked cool. I like the way they had their powers, like that stun grenade, and like the guy throws a stun grenade, like, and then like they fall off the ceilings and shit. You're like, oh crap, they're crawling around. That was all good stuff. The characters, I'll give it a 2 out of 2. I think I just like, I love these characters. I like the way like Archer kind of felt bad. This is okay. T'Pol in this one was maybe the best character because she came over to Archer, and Archer's feeling bad. It's like, look, all this garbage stuff has happened. You're responsible for all these deaths. They're turning us back around. This is just an awful situation. T'Pol's like, well, you need to fight to keep this mission going, and you shouldn't feel that bad. We followed all the protocols, and he's like, oh my god, this is the first time in the history ever that a Vulcan is cheering up a human. And I was just like thinking that was great. Phlox, they're like, well, you're going to be reassigned. He's like, well, I'll find an adventure in my reassignment. And he's just such a positive character. And then Trip was getting annoyed, like, what are you talking about, Doctor? Like, this sucks. And he's like, oh, Trip, I love how you express yourself and all that. And even that, he's like okay with. Trip is great. Malcolm feels kind of bad because it's like he was the one who was closing the plasma conduits or whatever it was. I don't know. I don't remember the techno babble of it. But again, then you find out it wasn't their fault, and then the whole thing changes and they get into action mode. So love the characters here. This entire first season has been stellar. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. It's a bit of a shill video, but the thing is, I do genuinely like everything that's going on, and you could nip it. Maybe it's like an 8.5, or maybe it's a 9 out of 10 if I kind of scrutinize it a bit more. But I was so jacked up. I was like, oh shit, this is really good, right? So I got into it. And I think that's sort of the important thing. I think you got to establish the characters and the world, and then once you have all that established, you can start doing some cool stuff with, any IP really. I think a lot of people make mistakes where they come out of the gate and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do this, that, we're going to world build this and this, and it's like, and if I don't care about the characters, it's over, right? I need to care about the characters. Even Deep Space Nine, I felt like maybe it got too much into this Dominion War, but by the time that Dominion War became the heavy focus, I was already in love with all of the characters, so I just went with it. That's kind of where I am with Enterprise. I think the perfect format is still the original Star Trek series, even though I have expressed love. I love all of those 735 Star Treks, Voyager and Enterprise and all that. That kind of episodic, one problem, one story, one solution, build a little bit of characters. The only negatives with the original series is that you really only built up those 3 characters, and they were really the only 3 that really, end of the day, did stuff, right? Scotty a little bit. I think what they learned from that going forward in like a Next Gen or a DS9 or a Voyager and Enterprise is you want to have a variety of characters, and they're all important in their roles. And yes, the captain and, like the captain, the engineer, doctor, that's kind of your first, your main guys, right? Or science officer. But, like give the helmsman something to do, right? Like, give Hoshi something to do. She's not just, sitting there, right? So I think this whole season as a whole, I mean, if I was going to just give it a rating, I'd probably just say it's 10 out of 10 because I'm just such a shill for this one. But, I mean, I guess you could say 9 out of 10. I'm just going to say 10 out of 10 for season 1. Like, screw it. I loved it. I mean, I could watch season 1 right now. Again, I just finished part 1 of Shockwave, and I could go right back right now, and I could just put disc 1 back in and just start again. That's how good I think it is. I'm not sure this series gets a lot of love. This video is a little longer. I'm going to cut. I just saw notice the time. I'm going to cut this off in a second. I don't think it gets enough love. I think it gets some love, but people are kind of like, well, they were just kind of, it felt like they were kind of done, I guess, after Voyager or what. But check out Enterprise, man. It's awesome. So starting up season 2 pretty soon. Looking forward to that. That's it, everybody. If you like my space system, please like the video. Consider subscribing. Check out the playlist for Star Trek. It's all positive, good stuff. I'm not doing any of the poopy Star Trek shows. I just can't bring myself to watch them. I'm already watching poopy Doctor Who, so I can't watch poopy Star Trek. So that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching. Until next time.